Hello and welcome to Sullivan's Farm. We're still messing with the cattle, the yearlings. See them there behind me. In and out. And I guess I'm not sure yet whether it's worthwhile or not. Before I say another word, I should say that the weather dictates absolutely everything. So anything that might or mightn't be learned this year might never again be applicable. So far, all I'm kind of seeing really are some of the downsides of this on-off grazing for drystock, like these yearlings. But sure, look, we'll let them out to grass now anyway. There are some positives, let there be no question. And I'm hoping to see more in the coming weeks. But at the moment, it's a bit of messing. And I'm not fully sold on it just yet. They're doing well. There's a nice Belgian blue heifer now. Will she oblige and stand and leave us kind of have a look at her? Not really. They're doing well overall, no question. It's just the hassle of in and out and the uncertainty of, is there enough to let them out, or will they be in and out for another month versus will they be in and out for another week? And how much silage do they need, and those bits and pieces, to be just easier if they were out. And I'll show you there now in a second. The smaller ones that were inside in the shed, they've really done well since they got out early. So it's definitely worthwhile for those smaller ones. I'll show you her here now there in a second. If she doesn't run away on us. Try and get in a bit closer. This is you can see her there. Now she still has a little bit of a cough. I have a feeling the lungs are just that little bit weak with her. She's kind of walking off. We'll try and get maybe even a picture of her. But the little cemental heifer I was showing you previously there, I was bringing her in and out, trying to treat her. She's done well since she came out. She's a different animal. Now she's always going to be small and a bit runty, but sure, she would have been smaller and runtier if she didn't get out early. So she's doing well. So there's no question they're doing okay. But I guess, and it's all part of the learning, like really this early grazing and this on-off grazing probably suits dairy farmers a little bit better, because they're bringing the cows in and out twice a day to the yard anyway, and they're able to give them silage inside and cubes inside the parlor to keep them topped up, or you know, to balance grass a little bit better. So and I think the theory then is that the grass quality as well as the animal thrive will really benefit from that as the year progresses. So look, I'm suspending judgment at the moment. I'm not saying I won't do it again. All I'm seeing at the moment are the costs of it in terms of the uncertainty and messing with them in and out, which has taken extra time. I managed to get the far down side of the shed where the yearlings, the small 10 yearlings, were cleaned out as well during the week. So now I just need to power hose the whole lot down, give it a chance to dry out, throw a bit of lime on it, and we'll be ready to rock for calves then, hopefully in the next week or 10 days. Just as we're passing going into the old shed in here, I'll just show you this field. This is one of the parts of the field that we reseeded with the multi-species grass mix a couple of years ago. Now, hands up, I didn't manage the thing properly because I didn't know enough about it. But nobody tells you that when you're buying the seed, or nobody says that in the media when they're telling you to try all these things and these things are going to change your life. Beyond saying it needs to be managed differently, there wasn't a huge amount of advice at the time, and I jumped and I tried it, and it, as I said, I didn't manage it properly, but it certainly hasn't worked out. It's a project for this year and I'll sort it out. You needn't worry about that, and I'll be better informed as to what to do with advice next time around. Just walking into the old shed here, the shed at the road. It's not the old shed, shed at the road. Now in the roadway here, and seeing as the shed is ready for calves, I better say something about the type of calves we're going to buy as well. I'm going to buy 30 calves again this year. 20 of them are Frisian heifer calves, and they are the type that might, I'll turn the camera around, stand here in 2 years' time. I've made a start cleaning out the old milking parlour This is a job that needs to be done anyway, and it needed to be done with the last couple of years. I just didn't get around to it. But now, if we don't go milking cows, this is still a job that needs to be done, cleaning this out. If you can see there, they're not skylights. The roof is missing. I don't know, was it the snow in 2017 or 2018? Fell on it and collapsed the roof in. So the roof needs to be repaired. We might also just lift that side of it there. It seems very low, especially if we were to go milking cows and wanted to put in feeders, automatic feeders, on either side. So that's something that can be done when the roof is taken off. I've made a start on this side. There's the pit here to be cleaned out, and then all this side as well. And that's where we bring in the cubes from. That's where we used to bring in the cubes from. I know when I did the previous video on, say, the options, if I was to go milking again between trying to do up the old parlour and go with a kind of essentially a green field site above at the cubicles, most people said, look, go to the cubicles and start there because the parlour's in the right position. And I agree, that is the right place. But I guess the reality is that finances are going to be tight. I'm not committing because I can't commit to milking cows at the moment in a couple of years' time. But there's a few things that I can do now that won't cost an awful lot and that will better position me to make a more informed decision when the time does come. One of the first things is what I just showed you there in the old milking parlour. I'm going to clean that to within an inch of its life. And then I'm going to get in an independent consultant, man who seems a very clued in kind of an individual, and ask him about it. He helps people do the paperwork and all that side of things for Board BA. So in the next week or two, I'm going to ask him to come down and have a look and say, like, with the amount of work involved, can this be brought up to the Board BA standard that's required? If he says yes, that's one thing. If he says yes, but it's going to cost this amount, that's another thing. If he says no, it's not really an option, then that's another thing. I don't know that at the moment, but that's something I can find out, and it won't cost me an awful lot to find that out. And then I'm a little bit better informed. Another thing I can do as well, and it's something that's going to be done whether I do go milking cows or whether I stick with the calf to beef or anything else, is to finish the likes of this new gap here, which will extend the roadway down there. It'll mean we can go straight out to the near knock with animals or with a tractor and trailer to draw silage bales in, rather than trying to go out and kind of bend around this area and then go out through that timber gate there. That's something that should be done anyway. That's something that will be done anyway. So I'll continue on with that. And other little jobs like that in terms of getting the paddocks right, tidying up roadways, setting up new paddocks, putting in new water trucks wherever they're needed. And that's another investment, but it doesn't commit me to milking cows either. Another thing I need to do is just get a bit more experience, or get any experience in milking parlour, milking cows for somebody, or working with a dairy farmer for a few weeks in the springtime. Now that's hard to manage because I'm working part-time at the moment and hours are scarce, but it's again something I need to work towards. Then I'll be a little bit less ignorant and a little bit more informed after that as well. We'll chance him. I'll give him a bail in the morning, leave him finish that this evening first. But look, the reality is all this talk of milking cows is pie in the sky really, until I sit down with the spreadsheet out again and go through it line by line as best I can with the accountant. The accountant is probably the key man at this stage. Before we start looking at different types of cows and different types of systems and 20 other good things and bad things, we need to figure out if it's financially feasible. If it's not, then that's that. We move on. And the financial feasibility for me is really working out how much it's going to cost to increase slurry storage, plus the cost of the parlour, whichever location it goes into, plus the cost of the stock. And then based on the loan we'd have to take out for that, could we milk enough cows to repay that loan over a given period? And after that, if that all added up, then we could move forward from there. But that's the first question, the finances. Now, the amount of cows we can milk depends on nitrates and banding. And I've been looking into that over the past couple of weeks as well. So I know how many cows we can milk. And then based on that, I suppose we can see the repayment capacity for the loan that we would have to get set up in the first place. If the finances of it stacked up, myself and herself would have to sit down and have a different type of chat. Like we've already discussed it, and we've decided to look at the finances to see if there's a yes or a no there. If there's a yes there, that doesn't mean we're going to do it. It just means we have a different type of discussion then, because it would be a huge decision. It would affect all our lives for the next 20 years. And it would impact the young lads, dropping them to school, how to get them to training, to matches, all that stuff. Cows would affect all that. So it wouldn't be a decision taken lightly. What happens inside the four walls of our dwelling house would be impacted hugely. There's other people outside of our immediate family that would be impacted too. So none of these decisions will be taken lightly. So the finances are the first thing we need to figure out before we go a step further. I've plenty of homework to do so over the next weeks and months, whether it's on a spreadsheet or getting a bit of experience milking cows, or trying to get heifers in calf, or fixing up parlours, or looking at greenfield sites, and a half dozen other little things in between. But then I'll be able to make something of them. Well, there's no I in this anymore because of the number of people it affects. We'll be able to make a more informed decision. And look, I'm sure I'll keep you informed. Thanks a million for watching. We'll talk to you soon, and mind yourselves. Good luck.